3 days later. Suzuha was still sick. Yuki came over every day with Mayuri to check on her. Because of this, Suzuha was able to eat nutritious food, and her fever had gone down. Now all that was left was to get her strength back. But still, Yuki kept telling her she needed to lie down. This meant that, for better or for worse, Suzuha spent her whole day on the sofa, half asleep. Somewhere in her half-awake mind, she heard a terribly off-key tune. I thought that was Kagari's song, but I think that's Yuki's song. I just remember this song playing during moments with Kagari in the Steins Gate Zero anime, since I think that was like one of the motives of Kagari, wasn't it? Or it might not have been. Huh. It's been a while since I've seen the Steins Gate Zero anime, and I'm gonna be honest here. I mainly remember Luskinen from the Steins Gate Zero anime, I'm gonna be fully honest. Cue the Luskinen playlist reference. Since she also heard the sound of falling water, it was probably coming from the shower room.
これ、何の歌だっけ？ねえ、母さん。
Suzuha had heard it when she was very young. Her mother had been singing it, just like she was now. But what exactly the song was about, she just couldn't remember.
もう起きなきゃ。いつまでも寝てられない。
But even when she tried to open her eyes, they just wouldn't move. Her body must have needed more rest. Maybe Yuki was right, and she needed to lie down some more. She moaned and twisted slightly. When she did, the blanket fell to the floor. She didn't feel like she had the energy to pick it up. She could sense someone standing up from the desk where Itaru always used the PC. Whoever they were, they came over and put the blanket back on. Wait, was Mayuri on the computer? Wait, this is the first time in Steins Gate they implied Mayuri was on the computer. Huh.
マヨネーさんの匂い。
Weirdly, Mayuri always smelled good, even when she wasn't using perfume. It was a slightly sweet smell, like a pale, white flower. It was the scent that held her all night, on that distant day in the future when she'd lost her mother. Suzuha pulled her legs inside the blanket, and grabbed onto her knees, like a baby in the womb. Memories went in and out of her mind as she lay there half asleep. Oh.
ママは痛い思いとかしたのかな？苦しい思いとかしたのかな？
She suddenly remembered what Kagari had said to her after they traveled through time. "2036, the day when she left." At the last second, Mayuri had looked at Suzuha and Kagari inside the time machine and smiled. It was just like the gentle smile on Suzuha's mother's face when she died protecting her daughter.
ちょっと前から起きてた。何か食べる？うん。
After she said yes, Suzuha snapped back to reality. She was getting weaker. When she realized that, she forced her sick body off the sofa. Her head shook, and she had to stop herself from falling forward, but she grabbed the back of the sofa and managed to stand on her own 2 feet.
ダメだよ。そんな急に起きちゃう。もう平気。迷惑かけたね、まゆ姉さん。迷惑だなんて、そんなことないよ。
Mayuri went to the kitchen and turned on the burner underneath one of the pots. The sounds and smell of bubbling stew filled the whole lab. Mayuri mixed it with a ladle and stopped every once in a while to taste it. She turned towards Suzuha and smiled.
大成功だよ。まゆ姉さんが作ったの？ゆきさんのおかげでまゆしーの腕はめちゃめちゃ上達しているのです。
Go, Mayuri! Now Okabe won't be mean to you.
兄さんは？メイクインに行ったよ。その後はバイトなんだって。そっか。あ、ダルくんがいないからって夜出かけようとか思ってるでしょ。ダメだよ。平気じゃないよ。そういうこと言うとユキさんに叱ってもらっちゃうから。私がどうかしたの
？The curtain to the bathroom opened, and Yuki came out. Her skin was just a little flush.
すずさんがね、寝ていてくれないのです。まあ、ダメですよ、すずはさん。あと1日、おとなしくしていること、いいですか
？Suzuha's answer was less than enthusiastic, but she gave in to Yuki's glare and sat back down on the sofa.
はい、そのまま横になって。わかったよ。
She pouted and slumped down on the sofa, then pulled a blanket on top of her. Suzuha was capable of talking back to Big Sis Mayu, but she would never be able to talk back to Yuki.
何？すずさんってそうしてると可愛いなーって思って。今の姿をダルくんに見せたらちょっと危ないかも。そうだね。時々本当に兄弟なのかなって思うことあるし。気持ち悪いこと言うな。あれれ、すずはさん、もしかして照れてます？照れてなんかいない。本当に？当たり前だろ。なんで私が。と言いつつ照れてるすずさんってやっぱり可愛いね。萌えだね、萌え。うるさいな。
Suzuha couldn't say anything, so she just had to turn away.
さてと、まゆしーはそろそろアルバイトに行かなきゃ。シチューは食べていかないの？アルバイトの帰りにもう一回ここに寄るつもりなんだ。その時に食べようかと思って。じゃあ、サラダか何か作っておいてあげる。一緒に食べて。ありがとう、ゆきさん。楽しみにしてるね。
Mary told Suzu one more time that she needed to keep lying down, and then left for MayQueen +9 Square. Yuki went to the kitchen and added a few seasonings to the stew Mayuri made, then turned off the burner.
あ、そうだ、鈴葉さん、汗かいてるでしょ？食事の前に体拭いておきましょうか。いいって言ってるじゃないか。
Yuki wanted to do stuff like that every day. And each time Suzuha frantically refused.
シャワーは無理でもちゃんときれいにしておかなくちゃ。昨日も一昨日もやったんだからいいって。1週間や2週間くらい放っておいても死ぬわけじゃないし。1週間ってそんなのダメですダメです。
Yuki hurried into the shower room.
あのさ、自分でできるから。そういうこと言う人に限っていつまでもやらないんですよね。そんなことダメです。
Yuki came back with a bowl filled with hot water and a towel. She could be stubborn when she got this way. Suzuha had learned that well over the past 3 days. Yuki was just like the mother she remembered. She slowly and uneasily stood up. And then she took off her top, trying her best not to let Yuki see her skin.
女の子同士なんだからそんなに恥ずかしがらなくても構わないだろ別に。背中だけ私が拭いてあげますね。いい、子供じゃないんだからできる。でもちゃんと拭けないと思うし。いいってば。
Yuki seemed a little shocked, but she quickly handed over the hot, wet towel. I'm gonna re-say that line. Yuki seemed a little shocked, but she quickly handed over the hot, wet towel.
ごめんなさい。触られるのが嫌な人もいますよね。私こそ悪かった。大きな声出したりして。お湯、テーブルの上に置いておきますから。夕飯の支度しちゃいます。
Yuki walked off, dejected. Once Suzuha saw that she was focused on finishing the cooking, she slid behind the curtains into the back part of the room. She used the towel and washbowl to wipe herself down. She couldn't let Yuki see her body. There were scars, both old and new, all over her, and burn marks that might never heal. To her, these wounds were like medals from the vicious battles she'd survived, and she didn't care who saw them. But she didn't want to let the mother who'd given birth to her, or rather, would give birth to her, see them. Especially not the dozens of pale white marks around her breast.
母さん。
She still remembered that nightmarish day. The bullets which had killed her mom had lost their power as they passed through her organs, but still managed to dig into Suzuha's skin. And when they did, they were covered in her mother's blood and flesh. The scars would probably never heal completely. To Suzuha, they were her mother's grave. She shook her head to try and get the nightmare out of her mind. She took her bottoms off, too, and then wiped herself clean all the way down to her toes. Then she put on a new pair of underwear. It was only after she started putting on her newly clean clothes that she felt human again. Well, okay. I was not expecting for the song to suddenly cut off. When she came back, Yuki was putting bowls filled with stew and salad onto the table. Their eyes met, and an awkward silence filled the room.
できました。
Indeed. Yuki broke the silence first.
ありがとう。どのくらい食べますか？いや、いいよ。それくらいは私がやる。
Suzuha put just enough stew and salad for her meal onto her own plate, and then made a plate for Yuki as well.
すみません。いや、こっちこそ食事の用意なんてさせて悪い。具合が悪い時はお互い様と言ったはずですよ。食べ終わったらちゃんと薬も飲んでくださいね。
The two sat on the sofa and filled their mouths with stew and salad. The stew had a mild, gentle flavor. It felt like something Mayuri would make.
ずいぶん上達したでしょ、まゆりちゃん。缶詰をただ温めただけとか、そういうわけじゃないんですよ。
I really like the storyline with Suzuha and Yuki being explored this chapter. I really enjoyed that. Like, I think in the previous routes I was taking, I think a lot of the things that we did were mainly focused on Suzuha and Daru. So I think on the secondary route that you could take at, what was that chapter's name again? Hold on. What was that chapter's name again? Closed Epigraph. Yeah. The second route you could take for Closed Epigraph, the route that I didn't take the first time, probably focuses a lot more on Yuki and Suzuha than the one that I took before that focused on Suzuha and Daru. Man, this is really interesting. This is really interesting seeing more with Suzuha and Yuki.
大したもんだね。鈴葉さんもやってみません？教えますよ。私はいいよ。柄じゃないし。そんなことないと思いますけど。まあ、いつかね。いつかっていう人は結局最後までやらないんですよ。それ、さっきも似たようなこと言ってた。そうでしたっけ？
I like Yuki. I'm already starting to like Yuki a lot more in the visual novel. Like, she was okay in the anime, but they didn't really explore too much on her storyline, other than like 1 or 2 episodes with a focus on it. So I like the focus of Yuki in this chapter. And then, the conversation ceased for a time. Suzuha slurped down her stew, and had terrible manners, and tried to come up with something to talk about. This time, it was Suzuha's turn to break the silence. After what she just remembered, she couldn't bear to be silent around Yuki.
さっきの歌だけどさ、あれ、なんだっけ？歌？シャワールームで、ほら。もしかして歌ってました？私。恥ずかしい。下手なのに歌うの好きだからつい口ずさんじゃうんですよね。別に上手い下手なんて気にしなくていいと思うけど、何の歌だったか思い出せなくてさ。実は私もなんですよ。印象的なところだけ覚えてるというか、子供の頃に流行った教育番組の歌か何かだとは思うんですけど。役に立てなくてすみません。鈴葉さんはいつ頃あの歌を？私も子供の時かな。母さんがよく歌ってくれたよ。優しそうな人ですもんね、鈴葉さんのお母さん。
The conversation flowed so naturally that she didn't think about how she responded. A second later, she realized what she'd said, and then she stared at her mother.
どうしました？私の母さん。どういうこと？どういうことって、おとといお見かけしまして。
Oh yeah, because Suzuha's using the excuse that her and Daru are siblings. Yeah, I forgot that.
は？ですから、おとといここを訪ねていらしたんです。そんなバカな。お母さんが来たらおかしいんですか？だって。
Oh. There was no way she could say that her mother was right in front of her. Confused, she fell silent. Yuki, for her part, must have come to some conclusion about the reason for Suzuha's reaction. She started to stammer and fidget.
ごめんなさい。私、何も知らなくて、もしかしてお母さんとの間に何か？いや。
This is so awkward. I love it.
喧嘩をして家出してるとか？そういうわけじゃ。今にして思えばなんか変ですよね。お母さんたら橋田さんには着替えや差し入れを持ってきていたのに、鈴葉さんには何も。と、兄さんに着替え？差し入れ？はい。
Suzuha thought as hard as she could and finally reached an answer.
そうか。
Yuki was talking about Hashira Itaru's mother. In other words, Suzuha's grandmother, who she'd never seen except in pictures. But since she told Yuki that she was Itaru's sister, it was natural that she'd make the wrong assumption.
どうしました？なんでもない。
If Itaru had said even a word to her about it, this wouldn't have happened. How stupid. She'd have to give him a lecture later. While Suzuha was thinking about the talking to her dad was going to get, Yuki had already started to sympathize with her imagined plight.
鈴葉さん、私、いつでも相談に乗りますからね。何でも話してくださいね。
For some reason, her eyes were starting to well up.
ありがとう。
Suzuha didn't know how to react to this, but she felt a little embarrassed.
やっぱり優しいんだな、母さんは。
Just like she told Itaru, this place was too comfortable. She was starting to imagine that this life would continue forever. But sending this brief, happy time beyond the horizon of the world line was supposed to be Suzuha's mission. If she didn't, this world would be destroyed. Sorry for flopping that. And we're back to Okabe.
お帰りなさいませ、ご主人様。
As I walked into the maid cafe, MayQueen plus 9 Square, the cattier maids working there greeted me cheerfully. It was a weekday evening, so there were more open seats than usual.
お帰りなさいませ。今日な、じゃなくて、おかりん。
ああ、今日はまゆりは？
まゆしーならもうすぐ来るにゃ。あと30分くらい。
そっか。
Mayuri had been working here for a while now. Her maid name was Mayushi99. When she was a maid, she wore a long blonde wig and cat ears, and looked very different from her usual self.
ダルに呼ばれたんだ。もう来てるかな？
いつもの席に。
I looked toward the back corner and saw a silhouette sitting next to the window with the sun at its back.
あと、今日は知り合いが一緒なんだ。メイドカフェ初心者なんで、俺とダルの話が終わるまで、ちょっと相手してもらってもいいか。
にゃにゃ、お知り合い、どちら様かにゃ？
Maho! I bet it's Maho. If we brought Leskin in here, he would have said something already.
おい、ヒアジョさん、こっち。
Yeah, it had to be Maho. I called to Maho. She was fidgeting outside the store, apparently unwilling to come in.
にゃ、オカリンが可愛い女の子を連れてるにゃ。
いや、そんなに驚かなくてもいいだろう。
しかも、背の高さから見て小学生か中学生？
Oh yeah, this is the first time Ferris is meeting Maho in this world line.
違う。
信じられない。フェリスというものがありながら、新しい恋人を、新しいロリ恋人を作るにゃんて。
違うって。彼女はアメリカの大学から研究のために。
これはもう円卓会議で糾弾するしかないにゃ。
人の話を聞いてくれ。
一体何の話をしているのかしら。
Maho had finally made it inside, and she was staring at me and Ferris with suspicious eyes. I'd gone with Maho to the police to talk about the attack again. After that, we both realized we hadn't eaten, so I'd brought her here. Ferris stood up to her full height and gave a cute little bow, and then did one of her cat-like poses.
お帰りになさいませ、お嬢様。
You should.
当店ではいらっしゃいませじゃなくてお帰りなさいませというのにゃ。ああ、そういうことなのね。フェリスニャンニャンだにゃん。お嬢様、お名前は？ヒアジョマホよ。ヒアジョというと沖縄のお嬢様かにゃ。あら、よく知ってるのね。いつも聞き返されるか間違えられるかのどっちかなのに、しかも沖縄の名前ということまで。当然だにゃ。フェイリスは3世代前の前世で琉球王国の彼方にある理想郷パイパディローマを守護する精霊だったんだにゃ。
Paipatiroma in Ryukyu Kingdom. What is she referencing? Paipatiroma, a legendary island whose name written in kanji means the island between the shining summer waves. It is said to be even further south than Hatiruma Island, the southernmost occupied island of Japan. In Okinawan, Pai means south, Pati means end, and Roma means coral reef. So, put together, it means the southernmost coral reef. The Okinawan faith has always believed that beyond the sea lies a mythical utopia called Nirae Kanai, and Paipatiroma is believed to be a variant of this. Another explanation says that geographically, it could refer to Taiwan or Luzon Island, but the truth of both theories is unknown. Another island in the Yaeyama Island chain, Yonaguni Island, has a belief in a legendary island called Haidonan. This shows how deeply the Nirai Kanai belief is embedded in this area. Alright. Kingdom of Ryukyu. The kingdom that would later become modern Okinawa. The country had a long history that stretched over 4.5 centuries and served as a major trading point in the Asian region. The capital was located in Naha at Shuri Castle. High-ranking noble families called Wikata built castles called Gyusuku on top of the mountains and hills, and ruled over their own local areas. In 1609, they were invaded by the Satsuma province, and were forced to pay tribute to both Satsuma and the Edo shogunate. Even so, the kingdom was allowed to keep its independent status. But in 1879, the Restoration government had forced it to hand over Shuri Castle, and it officially became a part of Japan. Religious rituals played an extremely important role in the life of the kingdom of Ryukyu. These rituals were held by priestesses called Noro. Ah! Interesting. Very interesting. I've been wanting to learn a little bit more about Okinawa myself recently, so this is very interesting notes. Dang. I definitely want to visit Okinawa at some point.
はい。そう、あの頃、フェイリスたち精霊の声はノロを通じて人々に届き、王国を正しい姿へと導いていたのにゃ。
What is Noro? Alright. Noro. Festivals and religious rituals play an important role in Okinawan life, and it's always the job of a woman to lead them. This school of thought that says it's the woman that speaks with the gods is one found all around the world. During the time when Okinawa was still its own independent kingdom, the royal government specifically designated priestesses called Noro, who had greater authority than even high-ranking nobles. The most important of them, the Kikoe no Okimi, the great lady who hears and prospers, was second in rank only to the king, and her influence extended even into politics and judicial matters. Since the Noro were an official rank of the Okinawan kingdom, there are only remnants now that the kingdom is gone are a few of their descendants. Thus, it is civilian priestesses and spiritualists called Yuta that perform modern rituals. Interesting. I wonder how Maho is thinking of, you know, what Ferris is saying right now. What's Maho thinking right now of what Ferris is saying?
ところが、荒ぶる怪人たちがパイパティローマに攻め込んできて、ついにフェイリスたちは。ごめんなさい。この人は何を言っているの？
なんというか、秋葉で通じる特別な言語のようなもの。
Oh boy. Poor Okabe, he has to try explaining Ferris to Maho.
そうなの？
あまり考えると頭がパンクするぞ。
すでにパンクしそうなんだけれど。
とにかくしばらく待っててくれ。向こうに座ってる友達と話があるんだ。
I pointed to Daru, and when she saw him by the window, her eyes narrowed.
どうかした？
ずいぶん大きな人ね。
後で紹介するよ。少しは痩せるように言ってやってほしいな。
それじゃあ、マホにゃん、お席へ案内するにゃ。
Another maid had just finished cleaning a table.
マホにゃん？かわいいにゃん。できれば普通に呼んでもらえないかしら。これが普通だにゃん。さあ、こちらへどうぞ、マホにゃん。
Maho remained dead silent as she was led to a seat near where Daru was sitting. I headed to Daru's table too. I sat across from him and ordered some coffee from a nearby maid.
見損なったぞ、オカリン。命爆発しろ。
フェイリスと同じようなこと言うなって違うんだよ。
何が違うんだ。あんな合法ロリコ。しかもすごく可愛いのになんだか垢抜けなくて残念な感じがたまらないよ。オカリンのくせに生意気だ。ぬふー。
そういうこと本人に言うなよ。怒ると怖いぞ。
I glanced over at Maho, who was staring at the menu and trying her best to keep up with Ferris.
前に電話で話しただろ。襲われた時に一緒だったレスキネン教授の助手の。
そんなことはどうでもいいっつうの。問題はオカリンが僕を差し置いて可愛いおにゃの子を連れ歩いているっつうことなのだぜ。
What were you doing in a few days ago, Daru, huh? You're around a lot of cute girls. Yuki, Ferris, and Suzuha. You can't yell at Okabe right there. You hang out with similar people to Okabe, man.
お前もすればいいだろう。デートとか。
嫌味だと？さらにできるようになったな、オカリン。
嫌味じゃない。ユキさんを誘ったらどうなんだ？
ぐぬぬん。
Daru run away from responsibility.
まさかまだ全然アプローチしてないのか？
いいんだ。僕は魔法使いになるんだから。
I don't think that plan's gonna work because of Suzuha's existence in general. But what is a wizard? There's an urban legend that if a man is still a virgin past the age of 30, he becomes a wizard. It's also said that further training can make him into a fairy.
おいおい、それじゃまずいだろう。鈴葉が生まれてこなくなる。
それを言われると。
ユキさんのこと嫌いじゃないんだろ？
そりゃ綺麗な人だし、太ももとかうなじとかハーハーするけど。
やめないか変態。
変態じゃないよ。変態紳士だよ。
You know, from how Daru acts, I'm still slightly surprised that he didn't become a wizard, but also he's also known to be, not as terrible as the guy as he jokes that he is.
どっちでもいい。俺は恋愛的な意味で言ってるんだ。
Daru leaned over the table and sipped his iced tea through a straw.
そういうのよくわかんないんだよね。
って子供か。
今日のお前が言うなすればここですか？
We stared at one another. He was right. When it came to romance, I didn't really have the right to talk. No, Okabe's the real wizard here. That's what's going on here. Okabe is the real wizard between the two of them. Except for maybe in a few timelines. Well, definitely not in the Lukiko timeline in the first game.
まあいいや、そういう話をしたくて呼んだわけじゃないし。
確かに。本題に入ってくれ。
実はさ、話は2つあって。
Here, Daru stopped and casually looked around. There weren't many people in the cafe, and thanks to Ferris, there was no one sitting near us. As long as we didn't yell, there was no risk of being overheard. I realized that the old me's habits were coming back. Was it because I'd just gone through something out of a Hollywood movie?
まず一つ目な。マユシには内緒にしてほしいんだけど、人を探してるんだよ。
マユリに内緒？
Oh! Kagari! Oh, yeah! The song about Kagari, yeah! Also, oh no, not that image! Not that image! No! That image! That image in the background that cursed me so much! It's back! Oh god, that horrifying image of Ferris in the background behind Daru's shoulder. Damn it!
なんで？
ちょっとね。
He seemed reluctant to speak.
オカリンってさ、マユシの幼馴染だろ？マユシの友達か知り合いで、カガリって名前の子知らない？
カガリ？
Of course, I didn't know every single one of our friends, but I never heard that name.
いや、 俺の知ってる限りは。
Oh! Wait, where's this going?
じゃあ名前は置いといて、マユシと特別に仲の良かった女友達とかは？
そうだな。
There was a group of kids she used to play with in elementary school. I told Daru their names. Of course, he knew all her friends since high school. She was especially close to Fubuki and Kaede from her cosplay group, as well as Ferris and the other maids at MayQueen plus 9 Square. There was also Luca, even if he wasn't a girl.
俺が答えられるのはこの程度だ。お前が知ってることと大して変わらない。すまないな。
いや、それでも十分だよ。助かった。
Daru took out his smartphone and wrote down the names of the girls I had given him.
なんでマユリ本人に聞かないんだ？
まあ、いろいろあって。
というか、誰なんだ？カガリって。どうして誰がその人を？
Ooh, this is the timeline where Daru's hesitant to tell Okabe anything. Daru was unconsciously tapping the table. He seemed to be deciding how best to explain it.
実は僕じゃなくて、鈴葉が探してるんだよね。
鈴葉が？なんで彼女がマユリの知り合いなんか？
No, wait. If Suzuha is involved.
それはつまりマユリの未来に関係あるってことか。だからマユリには言えない。
まあね。その子の名前さ、椎名カガリって言うんだと。
椎名？
うん。
マユリの親戚か何かか？
そうじゃない。いや、そうじゃないこともない。
He's dancing around the subject.
マユシの娘なんだってさ。
ああ。
He said it so naturally that I almost missed it. I see. Her daughter, huh? Her daughter? What does daughter mean again? Daughter. Mary's daughter.
マユリの娘？
しっ、声がでかいっつうの。
I swallowed my words as best I could.
本当なのか？それ。
うん。ただ、実の子供じゃないらしい。繊細孤児だったのを養子にしたとかなんとか。
A war orphan. I couldn't even imagine what chain of events in the future would bring that about. But it sounded a lot like something Mary would do. Even in the worst world line, Mary would still know the joy of having a child. Maybe he was wrong, but that still made me feel a little better. But at the same time, I felt a little worried about whether she could raise a kid.
でも変じゃないか。なんでこの時代にマユリの娘が？
鈴葉と一緒に2036年から脱出してきたみたいなんだよ。
なんだって？
ところがさ、ミッションのために1998年の秋葉へ立ち寄って、そこではぐれちゃったって。鈴葉は必死になって探したんだけど、見つからなかったらしい。
それで1998年に置いてきたのか？
探してる最中、タイムマシンが見つかりそうになったみたいで、かがりを残したままジャンプせざるを得なかったって言ってた。その後は数ヶ月単位の小さな移動を繰り返していろいろ手を尽くしたんだけど、2000年まで進んだところで燃料がギリギリになっちゃって。
で、本来のミッションを果たすために一気に2010年まで飛んだっていうことか。
I finished the sentence, and Daru nodded.
けど鈴葉は 今に来てからもまだ諦めずにずっと探し続けてるんだよね。つうことで、それとなくマユ氏に聞いといてくれるかな。
俺が
10年ちょい前に自分と同じくらいの年の子が会いに来なかったかとか。
わかった。聞いてみるよ。
If I could find her, I wanted to. Adopted or not, she was the future Mayuri's daughter. And I felt a little guilty about things with Suzuha. I wanted to help if I could. Just then, the maid brought my coffee. As I drank it, I looked over to Maho's seat. Ferris had barely left her alone for an instant.
それじゃあ、これからパンケーキをさらに美味しくする魔法をかけるにゃん。
Oh, poor Maho!
魔法？さあ、マホニャもご一緒に。世界がやばいにゃ、陰謀にゃ。普通に食べさせてもらえないかしら。ここではこれが普通にゃん。ではどうぞ、召し上がれにゃ。いただきます。マホニャン、垂れるにゃ。蜂蜜が垂れちゃうにゃ。あら。もう、赤ちゃんみたいだにゃ。赤ちゃん
They looked like they were having a good time. I turned back to Daru.
一つ目の話は分かった。で、二つ目ってのは？
これ、オカリンに聞いていいもんか迷ったんだけど。
なんだ、水臭いな。
Is it what I think it's gonna be?
やっぱ、やめた方がいいかな。
Is it something regarding going back in time? He just mumbled to himself and didn't say anything. It was rare for Daru to hesitate like this.
言ってみろよ。答えたくないと思ったら拒否するから。
じゃあ。
His hand went for a smartphone. Huh? Rhyme? Alright, what did he send me? This is about my secret job, so let's use this.
秘密のバイトというと。
Daru cut me off and pointed at my phone. I guess he wanted me to use it. Was this something even more secret than what we just talked about? Secret job? You mean you're hacking? Yeah, basically. It's not all legal stuff, though. I make online systems for manufacturers and banks, build and admin servers, boring things like that. Oh, and I do virus analysis and make security software. There's data recovery. Oh, and making new encryption tech too. Seriously? So, like a system engineer? Nothing formal like that. But we've got a bit of a reputation. Our group gets jobs from all over the world. I call myself Dash. What's Dash short for? I can't tell you. Why? I just can't. I don't think I can help you with that. You were close to Makise Kursu, right? Huh? What do you mean? I want some help with her. I've hit a dead end with this job I'm doing. A job you're doing? What do you mean? Oh, you can't back down now, man. Daru said that to me directly, and was about to put away his phone.
待て待て。ここでやめられたら気になって夜も眠れなくなるだろう。
でも、
あんまり気を使うなよ。その方がかえって辛くなる。
わかったお。
He now has resolve. He whispered, and sent me another message on Ride. Someone brought in a laptop and a portable hard drive to us a while back. Both of them have really strong full disk encryption on them, and can't be booted without a password. Of course, you can't take the hard drive out and connect it to another PC either. The client hit up a bunch of places with no luck, and finally came to us. Is the encryption that strong? I've heard that even full disk encryption can be broken by a pro. Not happening with this one. You know why? We were the ones who made it, baby. Huh? You guys made it? Then can't you deal with it yourself? I'm a believer that encryption needs to be a poison without an antidote, or there's no point. So, you don't even know how to break the code, even though you made it. Exactly. If we can break it, then other hackers who are just as good as us can break it too, right? And that's no good, duh. I see. And don't call me a super hacker! There's a tip that came up. What does the tip mean? Otu. Short for Otsukare-sama, which means good work or way to go. That's like... Huh? Why did that come up? Did I miss something? Did I miss something? What? Where did Otsu came from? Did I miss something in the dialogue? No? Maybe it's a line that's about to come up, and I got the tip early. Huh. Or wait, is it the face? Is it the face? Huh, why did that come up? I didn't! But what's this got to do with Kurisu? The laptop and hard drive belong to Makise Kurisu. So, Kurisu's belongings? I wanted to ask Daru directly, but stopped myself. Something seemed weird about the client, so I hit up the PC manufacturer's user registration database. How I did that is a secret, BTW. And I found that it was a name registered under her name. Same address too. It's definitely her. Who brought you the computer? Why would they have Kurisu's computer? Sorry, the rules say I can't tell you that. Were they Russian? Huh? No. Why Russia? Akbachi? No. If it's not, then fine. So, what do you want me to do? I want a hint, man. You may know any words that Makise Shi might use for a password? I can't brute force a password, so I have to do it the hard way. I've tried her birthday, graduation dates, and stuff. Address and phone too. Not that I can imagine her picking them for a password. Also, any words commonly used in brain science, or frequently used in her papers. I've got all that data. Now I'm trying stuff from her private life. It felt like the grave of someone I cared about was being violated. What kind of words did I associate with Kurisu's private life anyway? Guri Gohan and Kamehameha? My fork? Or maybe something to do with her dad? I tried to remember more about Kurisu, but when I did, I started to think about her last moments. I quickly shut down that train of thought.
悪い。少し時間をくれないか。すぐには考えがまとまらない。
うん、了解。何か思い出したらでいいから。それに強制じゃないし、思い出したけど教えたくないならそれでいい。
ああ。
Another reason as to why Daru's a good friend. Best boy, Hashida Taru. I sighed and gulped down my cold coffee. Wait, he drank his coffee cold? Oh!
オカリン、今日ラボでクリスマスパーティーやるって言っておいたよね。ちゃんと覚えてる？
Oh, I kind of forgot about the Christmas party because in the previous world line they didn't have it. Oh man! Are we going to a party? We're going to a party, and we're at the Brain Science Institute. Oh! I'm gonna have to save this for next time. But I think I might know where this might be going. And I'm getting super excited. But I'm gonna leave this episode off here. But I think we're about ready to have a
party? Okay.